So my name is Philomena, but you can call me Philo, and I do medicine. I'm in 4th year, and I'm originally from South London, but my parents were born in Sri Lanka. So my favourite spot is probably, I think a lot of people do say this, the UEA Lake, just having a nice walk around. So during exam season, just a bit of a change of a scenery, I'll just walk around campus in terms of the lake. And also you can go a little bit more deeper into a foresty type area and you get to the park near the hospital. So I do doing a little walk around there, and there are ponies down if you go that way down the lake, so that's also a really nice place. I would be known as a cradle Catholic, so I was Catholic and my family has been Catholic for many generations before me. And yes, I think for young people especially, there is a whole journey of ups and downs with faith. So yes, there was points in which my faith was lower at points, and then it's more so God pulling me back into the faith in somewhat, or the Holy Spirit just bringing me back to realise who I am and why I am a Catholic originally. I think my favourite thing about Catholicism, personally, I was reading this passage and I was watching a video today, and it was about your kingdom come, your will be done, and how earth and heaven, sometimes we see them as two separate entities, but in actual fact that through Jesus, they kind of overlap. And my favourite bit about Catholicism is adoration, because when we are in adoration, we see Jesus on earth, but a part of heaven on earth. And among the brokenness and the sadness and the sin of the world we live in and the pain, it's just that in that moment you can see a small bit of heaven, and Jesus coming down on earth himself, the whole incarnation was Jesus bringing that part of heaven onto earth and experiencing that light and purity for that period of adoration. I think is one of my favourite parts of Catholicism. There are many things, but I think adoration is one of my favourite bits about Catholicism. Also, I think in terms of the saints, I listen to the Catholic Morning podcast sometimes, and they always have a story about a saint. And in terms of the saints being a good inspiration for us, role models in the faith, because a lot of them aren't perfect people, they did go on a journey like us. I entered university in the COVID year, so that was 2020, and in that year, Mass was not happening as regularly on campus, it was a bit here and there, so sometimes we'd watch it online, and being in a flat of people who weren't Catholic or hadn't been exposed to that and not being allowed out, I came from an environment which was a little bubble of Catholicism within my family during COVID, and then going straight into university when I was in a different bubble of people who weren't Catholic. It was difficult to kind of bring that part of me into university, especially because so many people didn't understand it as well. So I guess that was when my faith faltered in university. But then when I did go to Mass, I did find a group of Catholic girls who shared the same views as me, could relate to me, and it was nice to see that there were other people like me, and that kind of helped to strengthen my faith. And absolutely, my faith has been a massive role in how I'm continuing to do my degree. I don't see my faith as separate from everything else in life. I see it as an intrinsic part of just me going about life. So I feel every time I pass an exam, every time I talk to a patient in the hospital, it's almost as if Jesus is with me and in me. So Catholicism does play a huge role in my university life, yes. Catholicism does help me in my studying. I think one person once told me that you can't really do anything without the Holy Spirit actually guiding and giving you the strength. So I sometimes try and pray before I even study to make sure that I can keep focused and, do God's will through my studying and give glory to him through my studying and through the work that I'm going to do afterwards. And in terms of medicine, I always thought that in a way it's a sort of before getting in, I tried to pray as if it was my vocation. If God's meant for me to be a doctor, then that is his will, to help people, to serve him. And when Jesus washed the feet of his disciples, it was serve others. And the reason why I'm in this degree, because it's not a very pretty, glamorous job for sure, is more so to serve people. So I hopefully will take the service part of my job and my degree as part of my glorification to God and to people around, the people, his creation. The reason why I'm Catholic is because it's like the main driving factor in like everything I do, and like in all honesty, sometimes I do stray away from it. It's so hard to separate who like Jesus is and Catholicism from like the world we're living in, and it's trying to like marry them two together. And why I'm Catholic is to try and build on that journey of marrying those two parts of the world versus God and heaven and Catholicism together. So it's like that journey on helping me become closer to God. And yes, adoration is like one of my favourite bits of that, because it just seems as if like Jesus is there, so I can just step a little more closer towards him. And in terms of helping people come in, I think it's really important to get involved in the Catholic quite early on, because if you don't really have that community, it is really hard because you feel so isolated in a Western university. I felt like that for sure, trying to navigate faith in a world in which doesn't recognise us as much. So it is very important to like search up where the Catholic is and come to the Catholic, the meet up downstairs after mass, and like communicate and just build this community of people who are like-minded. That really helps. It's hard to keep on top of things in terms of like saying the rosary and things when you're at university, because you have to study, you have to cook, and there's like a whole new life that you're trying to adapt to. So going to like group rosary sessions or group Bible study sessions, because you're with a group and there are other people encouraging you. So yes, I'd say like being involved in the Catholic and joining in on the activities they have to offer.